So now I'd like to turn it over to Nendi first to introduce himself.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I welcome all of you. My name is Dr. Nendi Lukolm Solomon from Nigeria. I was at the YES program 2000, Washington County, Iowa. Thank you.
Awesome. And Ratu?
Hello everyone, it's nice to online meeting you all. My name is Ratu Chairunisa and I am from Indonesia. I was at YES program on 2014 and 2015. My host city in Ann Arbor, Michigan State.
Great. And Ratu, would you like to get us started and tell us about your grant project?
Okay. First of all, I'm so honored to be here and share all my experiences and that could help you guys. My project is focusing on women empowerment in my community. I took gender equality issues and called the project as HOPE. HOPE stands for Home to Opportunity and Practical Equality. This project aims to facilitate high school girl and made a camp or 3 days camp. All the participants will get to share their thought with all awesome and outstanding speakers in several sectors such as the religious sector, entrepreneurship, and also gender equality activists in Banda Aceh. And before the HOPE Camp project, I asked the participant to make an essay about their thought before joining the camp. And afterwards, after the project, after they share and hear all the thoughts from speakers, I asked them again to make a post-project an essays about their suggestion and hopes for a better gender equality in their community. I think that summer all my projects.
Great, Ratu. Thank you so much. Nendi is a 3-time grant recipient. He has, nice, Ratu. He has received and implemented 3 different YES Alumni Grant projects. And since he has had 3, I've asked him to tell us about his 2 most recent projects. So take it away, Nendi.
I wanted to share a lot about most of the projects I did, but of significance, I will talk about the 2 most recent. And those are the shoe designers workshop and the My Hands Can See workshop that was done recently. And the shoe designers workshop was basically to bring entrepreneurship into my immediate community, to give some skills to youth around my local community. I noticed that a lot of children were out of school and some form of vices and peer pressure was coming up. A lot of them were going into drug addiction, there were teenage pregnancies and all that. And having been at home for so long, put them at risk for most of these vices. So I thought of doing something that would bring them out from the street, give them some knowledge about entrepreneurship and basically learning how to design shoes, and they can be busy and also have something for themselves. And then the second project, which is the My Hands Can See, was basically for blind children in local government here in Nigeria, where children usually who were diagnosed blind were sent there to learn how to read and learn how to write Braille. And one of the key problems we noticed from the students was when they go home during the long vacations and holidays, they usually come back and having no knowledge of what they learned the last semester. And for me, I thought it would be good for families and friends to also learn some skills and learn how to read Braille so they can help these children once they're at home during the long vacations to help them also improve in their learning ability and the pace, and also to also expose those children to learning how to use computers and typewriters early enough so they can at least have a good bearing towards life and have some hope towards life. Yeah, thank you.
Great. And while we have you already here, Nendi, can you share what previous experience you had working with any of the issues related to the projects that you implemented?
Okay. One particular thing that was of note for me was the fact that I did a project on the shoe designing workshop prior to the YES grant from my placement organization, the Iowa Resource International Study program, who literally took me from Nigeria and sent me to Washington County in Iowa. So they also have a grant opportunities for alumni that are under the IRIS program. And I was able to do a shoe designers workshop under their grant. And having experienced a lot about implementing such a project, it gave me a better bearing and a good standing, and also to understand the things I need to make better and the things I need to correct so I could make the second project much, much better, which I actually achieved by doing that when I got the YES grant.
Great. And what aspects did you incorporate to make your project better?
Okay. From the project planning and do better planning, also use put up a better timeline for appropriate learning, and also help me make adjustment to certain things that might come up later during the project, like unforeseen circumstances, the seasons, when children are in school, when parents would allow their wards to come and learn and all that. So that previous experience helped me put up those, find those problems and make corrections on them and also make them better during the implementation of the second project.
Awesome, great. So Ratu, can you tell us what previous experience you had with the issues that you aim to address in your project?
For me, issuing the gender equality is very personal because back when I was in high school, a high school student, I really wanted to be a head student, but then my school forbidden a female head as a leader or a head student, and I was so furious about it. And then I asked my friend, my girl, mostly girl, I asked them to make an ally because, you know, I really wanted to be a leader, a head student. But then they said to me like, we're not supposed to be a leader and it's such a hard work, and, you know, all the skeptical and the pessimistic thought. I thought back there, we can achieve more, and not only because our gender, you know, it's not about our gender. That's the reason why I make the project. I want every girl, especially girl, or I want every student have their dreams and can achieve their dreams, not only because of gender. I think it's a really personal reason from my high school stories that I want to share and help a girl in my community to achieve their dreams.
Great, thank you. All right, so Ratu, question for you. what are the key pieces of advice that you have for alumni on actually preparing the project proposal? So right now we're in the open application period. People are, they're working away on their applications. So in terms of preparing the proposal, what advice do you have?
First of all, maybe try to analyze the problems that are occurring in the society. So like, for instance, like my project is about gender equality. In my community, gender equality is a really, very sensitive to discuss. And I thought is an issue, I thought is as an issue that needs to be fixed. And I analyzed it as an issue and try to figure it out how to fix it, and how to figure out the solutions, and just try to focus in a specific way to solve the problem.
Great, thank you. How about you, Nendi? What advice do you have for alumni preparing their project proposal?
Okay, personally, I think having some good experience would help a lot. And that means you have to go research. Look for people's people that have designed projects online or projects that are similar to yours. There's a saying that if you have not tried doing it, you don't know how to do it. So keep applying, keep doing as much as you can, go research, and then use your immediate community to also search for information and search for things you can do. You will not be sitting in the US and be thinking of problems in Nigeria. You should be thinking of problems around you there in the US. So that is the best place that you can put up a project. And then secondly, you need to always keep a draft. Always write out drafts on projects. If you have any sort of idea, a flash of idea just comes into your head about something you want to do, find a piece of paper, write it down, and build on it. Ask informations about them and keep building. If you have 10 drafts of projects that you have written out, it will be easy for you to develop at least 5 out of the 10. Then you bring out just one when applications are out. You will definitely not get a head go towards putting up a good application. So
that is great advice. And I also like your advice that, if you have 10 ideas, like maybe 5 of them or maybe even fewer are going to be feasible, but that's why you just keep putting those ideas down and figure out what's really going to work. Okay, so Nendi, now, what advice do you have for alumni as they're preparing their budget for their grant proposal?
I think the most important will be that you spend a lot of time on your budget. At least 90% of the information or your time during your application should be on the budget because it is very important. And while you are at it, please don't put things that you don't need. Don't feel unnecessary things, put in extras that would just make your budget look clumsy or look too bogus because you want to meet up to the limit which you were giving. If you're doing a $100 project, apply for $100. Don't put up extras and make it 3,000 because you want to just meet up with the mark, okay? So those are basically the advice I would tell you. And then also, you need to research on costs, obviously. You need to know the cost of items. The cost of an item in January is not the same as now. So you need to go back to the market. If you were thinking of a project in January, the cost might change now. So you need to keep researching, keep updating your costs, and know about the cost of whatever project or services you need for your project to be implemented. Yeah.
Great. That's excellent advice, Nendi. Ratu, what advice do you have about budgeting for a grant proposal?
Yeah, that's a great advice from Nendi, and I would add a little bit maybe. Before I make all the projects budgeting in the website, I try to approach some community and NGOs and local NGOs for searching, sponsorships and support for them. It's not only because the funding that will help me, but also, you know, the appearance of the needed to be, you know, just partnership with other NGOs and local community. It will help us and help them also. So before I'm doing my budget, I try to, you know, search for as many as I could sponsorship from the locals. And afterwards, I make the budget, like Nendi said.
Great, great advice. And for those of you listening, what Ratu is talking about is called cost share. And that is when you have additional support from your community that is contributing to your project. So there are two buckets of funds when it comes to a grant project. There is the funding that you get from the YES program, and then there is cost share. And that is the funding that people are contributing to your project. And it might be in actual funds, or it could be someone is donating their time as a trainer, or it could be that they are taking care of all the printing for your project. So keep in mind that a strong and competitive grant proposal has cost share. All right, next question. So Ratu, what are the key pieces of advice that you would give your fellow alumni for actually implementing their project? So their project has been approved. We have said, yes, you have the funds, go for it. What do you advise about project implementation?
First of all, of course, to make a reasonable timeline. So don't be so ambitious about the timeline. Make it, you know, as simple and reasonable and doable as possible. And also stick to the plan. So if it's scheduled on March, you need to do it on March and preparing on February, and, you know, the la. And also don't forget to make a B's plan or C or D, and, you know, just make an extra plan for your main plan. And also the things that I would like to share with you is invite the US Embassy in your area. For example, like my city, we don't have US Embassy in our city, but then I try to contact the nearest US Embassy office, and they, you know, help me a lot with merchandise and share a thought, and, you know, and I think they actually give me some of the alumni contact and help me through the project. And also the US Embassy from Jakarta, from other island, from my island, they came to, you know, to attending the project. It's a moral support for me, and I really, you know, helped by the US Embassy.
Great advice, Ratu. I think at the end of the day, you need to remember, if you receive a YES Alumni Grant, this project is being at least in part funded by the US Department of State. Therefore, inviting embassy staff to your project is a great idea. If they can't come, don't worry about it, but you have invited them, and that's the most important thing. All right, Nendi, what is your advice for implementing a project?
Okay, first I would want to agree with Ratu. You definitely have to put up a doable timeline for your project. Don't overstretch. If you're, for example, you want to train on how to do sign language, you want to teach people how to learn sign language. Obviously, you cannot learn sign language within 3 days. So you have to give it a doable project timeline for you to be able to execute such a project, okay? So that is very important. And then also remember to delegate responsibilities to your project team. Having a strong project team is very important, but you have to learn to also delegate, and then also check up on them on a regular basis to make sure everything is running well and going smoothly. So your project won't have a delay, or you won't have to be resorting to a plan B when you can actually execute a plan A. So you need to definitely follow up as a project leader And also don't forget to enjoy yourself while having that experience, because the fun you have during executing a project is what we tell most of the time. The pictures you take and all that, those are the fun part of your project. So you need to enjoy, be part of it. Not because you are not participating fully, then you should not be. I participated in a lot. I learned how to make shoes because other children were also being taught, and I got interest. I learned how to do it, and I can tell you I can do it right now. So, and I had fun while learning. So always enjoy yourself and find yourself in the project, no matter how. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that advice. So next question to Ratu first. Ratu, can you tell us a little bit about who your project partners were and like how did you approach them? How did you get them on board?
Okay, okay, Jenny. First, I want to agree with Nendi about you cannot expert the sign language for 3 days. That was really true, because when you're addressing some issue, you don't have to be expert on the issue. You can ask help from another partner or NGOs that also, you know, want to solve the same issues, such as I work uh I work together with NGOs local. They also work on gender equality issues. They called Flower Aceh. So they helped me a lot in, you know, search for the best and suitable speakers for the high school student, because, you know, not all speakers are suitable for high school student. And also another partner, they want to solve the same issues. It calls the leader in my community. They also wants to, you know, increasing all the, you know, solve all the problems in Aceh, especially. And one of them is gender equality. So we have the same issue. We got, you know, we negotiate what both parties get, and I try to talk also to the local community, because I try to solve the sensitive issues. I try to talk to them, and I want them also to support my project. I think that's the partners that I have in my project.
Great. And I just want to comment on one of Ratu's points that when you take on a partner for your project, it's not just about like, what can I get? Me. You should focus. Making partnerships means that usually that both parties are getting something from it. So do focus on like what can you do to give back and support your partner organizations if they help you with your project. That is definitely a key to making like longer lasting, more successful partnerships. And we'll turn it over to Nendi. Same question. Tell us about your project partners and how did you get them on board?
Okay. For the two projects I'm talking about, I used a lot of people around my community. Like I told you, always use your immediate community. If you have a youth group, you have church group, you have women's group, those are usually the people I approach when I have things that have to do with my immediate community. I go to the women's group and tell them, okay, I need so number of youths about this age that are willing to learn how to make shoes. And you would get people, you get recommendations, you tell them about your idea, they would give you recommendations of where you can go and get extra support and all that. So it's very important that you use your immediate local community, and then also look outside your circle, not just your friends, not just the alumni group, but look outside. You might have some connection. You might have an uncle like I did that was working in the College of Education during the My Hands Can See project. He helped to give me connection with some people that could become resource persons for the training. And I had to go to people, go online also and look for people that are doing similar projects and talked to them about, shared my project with them and asked them if they could partner with me and help me execute the project, and they were willing to. So usually your immediate local community, you use all the resources available, go online, go outside your circle and find people and organizations that would partner with you. Yeah, I think that's basically what I have.
Great. So what I'm hearing is you need to look near and far.
Of course.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So Nendi, while you're still here, what advice would you give to potential applicants on choosing their project team?
Okay. Definitely, you have to get alumni that are very, very passionate about community projects. Those that would make your work easy, because that is very important. So close-knit friends, alumni that are very involved in community activities, they're involved with alumni activities, you would almost always know them. So they are the easy set of people to approach and tell them, come and join me, I want to do this project, and they will give you great ideas. So always remember your close-knit friends and alumni are the best people you can put up as project team. Yeah.
Great. And Ratu, how about you?
Yeah, it's true. You need to find an alumni, and because I felt sometimes the alumni felt and understand you better, maybe in my in my experience, and also from you can find it from your classmate or friends or partnered with other organizations that have the same issues and want to solve the same issues. And the most important things, in my experience, I try to find partners that are also expert in their field. For instance, like I try to find partners that expert in designing, so I don't have to do a design because I'm not really good at. So find partners that could help you and want to solve the same problems or issues.
Great. Excellent. So what I'm hearing is find people with similar passions and a diverse range of skills so that everyone can take responsibility for the portions of the project that they are best at. Great. Ratu, can you tell us, was there any time during your project that things just didn't go according to plan and you had to divert to plan B?
Yeah, I have it. Back then it was election season here in my city, so I had to change venue because of the risks of elections and violence, and I had to, share and how to turn out the venue and things in short of all the materials that I need to be done for the project. So that is things that I changed from the plan A, and that is my plan B.
Great. And how about you, Nendi? When did you have to rely on plan B or C?
I agree with Ratu because I also had to change venue, not because of election violence though, but because of bad weather. So a lot of times, sorry, a lot of times you make plans and things just happen. I remember during the shoe designers workshop, there were days because my project timeline was right in the middle of the rainy seasons in Nigeria. And during the rainy seasons, it falls very heavy in Jos. So we had to change venue because of the rains. We even had to reschedule dates because of the rains, because a lot of the participants couldn't make it to the training at the supposed time. So it is very important that you consider things like bad weather, election violence, some other things. Now there is Corona. You can actually obviously change the timeline because of lockdown and all that. So you see, you need to preempt these things when you are designing a project And that is why you need a close-knitted friends that you can easily just reach out to and discuss change of plans and all that with them. So yeah, those are some of the challenges I faced during executing the project.
Good advice, Nendi. And you make an excellent point about coronavirus. If you are planning a project, if you are planning to apply for a 2021 YES Alumni Grant, I will just note that we are asking, it doesn't matter if you are planning it for a time that you expect to have a vaccine. We don't really know what is happening. So we want you to have coronavirus in mind, no matter when you are thinking about planning your project. And that includes whether your project should be virtual or whether it needs to be a little bit smaller scale to plan for social distancing, or whether you need a bigger venue to allow for social distancing. I just want to advise that anyone who's considering applying for a 2021 YES Alumni Grant needs to have COVID in mind. All right, and moving on. So Ratu, can you talk a little bit about what do you think was very successful about your project? And on the opposite end of the spectrum, what would you change if you had to do it over again?
I think the most successful session in my project was the FGD session, or the forum group discussion. I didn't expect it to be, really successful, because I thought they would be shy to share their thought, but eventually they're really interested, and they just want to be heard. And this FGD session, it's really work for them, for the girls. And what things I would like to change in my project, maybe next time I would add some boys participants, because in issuing gender equality, we need both gender to support, and I want to hear their point of view also about gender equality, because in support gender equality, we need both of them to support.
Great, excellent. And how about you, Nendi? Success and would change.
Okay, my success for both projects that I'm discussing about is that I put up a very good expectation for the outcome of my project, which I literally achieved. And with that in mind, I also made sure that I had a very good preparatory phase. I prepared myself, had good preparation, put up all the things needed even before the project started. And then while I was preparing, I made sure I was communicating with everybody. We even had like pre-project orientation for most of the participants that had to come. We talked to them, told them what they would need to learn, why they are learning it, and why it's important to us. So those were the successes I think I had during the project. And then what I would change, I think I would have gotten more people that would partner with me, because that would have made the project bigger, it would have made it loud, I would have had a better outcome from the project. So I think subsequently, if I have a project, I will go all out trying to get partners to come and make the project even bigger than what I had expected and want to see at the end of the project.
Excellent, very good. And final question, how did you promote your project? What did you do beforehand to promote it, get the word out, get participants? And then what did you do afterward to share your results and your success? And we can start with Nendi.
All right. While I was promoting my project, I made sure I visited youth groups, people on the streets. I visited women's group. Literally, those are the people that I would obviously discuss the project I want to do with. So it will be easier for me to also promote the project through them. and then using my community, social media, the church, the family, friends, and everybody around. Just randomly just talk to people about the project, and you'll be shocked at the kind of support you would get. And then also, while sharing the results, I obviously used social media, had a lot of pictures taken, and I always put up updates every day, put up pictures on my social media to tell people the progress of the project, and also talk to people also about the project. Hey, did you hear I did this project? And it was wow. That was how I did that with someone here, and the person told me that she knows somebody that usually sends Braille books to Africa, usually Ghana. Nigeria was never included. And all of a sudden, they shared my email address with her. She saw the project online also and decided to send some Braille books. I would have carried some to show you guys, but they just came about a month ago because they were a little bit delayed with the lockdowns of Corona. So I was able to get books from US, Braille books, different genres, story books for kids and all that, from my Hands Can See project that I obviously put online and shared information about. And also I would obviously thank the YES program for giving the platform to also show our projects online and share with a wider community and people online. So yes, that was how I was able to share my projects and also promote it.
Great. Thank you, Nendi. That's awesome. That's a really good example of why it's important to share about your project widely. I mean, you're able to extend upon what you've already built because someone sees your project and says, hey, this looks awesome. Let me send them some Braille books.
Okay.
All right, Ratu, how about you?
I'm agree with Nendi. Media, online, and internet is a really great power to promote almost everything, and especially your project. And also word of mouth. And what I did is I also doing a media partnership with some local radio and NGOs because they have more big audience that we can reach out. And also I also inviting US Embassy. I must say it again because US Embassy really helped me in promoting, and also helped me to find a lot of participants. Actually, they have a lot of outreaches. So it's good to invite US Embassy and reach a bigger audience with them.
Great. So with that, we conclude our formal interview time. So we can open it up to questions. If you are here on Zoom with us, please feel free to put your questions in the chat box. If you're watching from Facebook Live, you can put your questions in the comments and we'll be happy to answer them.
Hi, Jenny, this is Lauren. And I can share a question that you got from Facebook Live.
Sure.
Great. The question came up that one alum applied but didn't receive a message of confirmation that the application was submitted. So when should this alum hear back about this grant opportunity from program administrators?
Oh, very good question. So applications are always followed up on. So if you've submitted an application, you are very fast for one thing, because the application only opened on December 15th. That is so fast. So the application typically closes January 15th, or sorry, January 31st. And then we typically have 3 rounds of evaluations. First, we have in-country evaluations. Then we have a organization-wide evaluations for recruiting organizations, and then the applications come to me for me and my team to evaluate. So that takes a little bit of time, but generally, if we are interested in funding your project and we think that you have something that is workable, because keep in mind, and don't be discouraged, but project proposals rarely come to us in a way that we're like, yes, fund, let's go. Generally, and I'm sure Ratu and Nendi can tell you from many communications with me, that we often have follow-up questions and things like that, so that we can kind of iron out little details that need to be updated or changed before we approve funding. And that process usually starts towards the end of April, early May. And so people generally know whether their project has been funded or not by late May. I hope that answers the question. If you did not receive a notification, then if you don't receive a notification by late May, I'm wondering if there was an email address issue or something like that, because even if your project is not chosen for funding, we do let you know. I hope that answers the question.
Another question that came up was for Nendi and Ratu, and the writer said that you've provided so much advice, so thank you so much. And so the question was if he or she could apply for grant funding to begin a startup.
That may be a question better for program staff, so I'll go ahead and take that one. I don't see any reason why not. To my knowledge, we don't have any previous alums who have applied for a grant that later became a business. But that said, we do have several alumni who have applied for a grant and their project evolved into being an NGO. So along those lines, I think that as long as your project meets all other qualifications, if it evolves into a business, I don't see any reason why that would be a problem.
Great, thank you for that answer. The next one was for Nendi. The writer said that she loves the idea of jotting down these ideas on a piece of paper so that, Nendi, you remember all of your great ideas. And the question was if you could share a few of your ideas that you've jotted down now, but you haven't started implementing yet.
Okay. Usually what I do is I go around and look at and just ask questions around. If I see anything wrong, maybe somebody is parking just by the road, I would ask, why is it so? Do you understand? So a lot of my ideas just come from general questions about why is this not done right? Why is this student sitting at home? Why is this child not going to school? So those are basically how I put up ideas. Like, let me give you examples of some of the things I've jotted down. Okay. I noticed that we're having a reduction of teachers in Nigeria because everybody wants to go for a professional course. Everybody wants to be a doctor. Some people want to become lawyers and all that. And nobody is willing to go into teaching unless you're being forced to. So, and I thought, why not provide some form of program that the College of Education will be able to absorb students in, and at a very subsidized rate, have teachers learn English, mathematics, and the basic sciences at a very subsidized rate for community development, or run a short-term diploma program. So these are how I bring up ideas. From a problem, I try to create solutions from them. So when you begin to do that as an alumni, you would see that there would be a lot of project ideas coming into your head. If there is no light source in, let's say, your village That is an idea. Well, that is an idea that you should build on. You jot it down. No light source in so village. How do you solve it? You begin to think of ideas on how to bring light to that village. So that is how you do to draft out projects. You don't just sit down and say, oh, I want to train 100 women on beads making, and that is all. So try to understand that. And maybe Ratu can also chip in and give a little advice to you too.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas or project that I also have. That, like I said, you don't need to be expert on solving any project that you want to address. Just look around and what the community needed. For instance, I have several projects that I have is to help friends in inclusivity, such as on disabilities friends, and also I have issues in education sector. I want to make a library for the outreach area. Like in Indonesia, we have a lot of islands and they don't have a really good library. That's where I start to planning my project for the next project ahead. So that's, I think, things that I could share with you.
Great.
Perfect, thank you. And what fascinating ideas. Jenny, I believe the next question is for you. Augustine from Sierra Leone asks, is it possible for someone to be the project team lead for his or her own project and at the same time serve as a team member for another project?
Absolutely. That's the fastest and quickest answer I can give you. Yes. You can only be team lead for one project, but you can be on the project team of many other projects. What else do we have?
All right. So a question that also came in from Facebook Live was, Nendi and Ratu, how did you begin to convince people around you to also see what you want to see in your communities?
Okay, maybe I want to answer it first before Nendi. Is it okay?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, I try to share my thought, because like I said before, the gender equality issues is a really personal things for me. So first things is I share my problem, how I felt about the issues, and what I want to change from the issues in my community. It's not always yes from everyone. Sometimes they just very skeptical about the ideas, and that's okay, because different thoughts, maybe they have another issues that they interested on. But then I just, like Nendi said, I just keep trying, asking other people, tell my story, because it's really important to me, because it's really personal, and I want to address the issue. So just trying hard to tell your stories and find person that really clicks with you and try to address the issues.
Okay. To add up to what she said, I think it's also very important that you also paint that same problem you saw to that person you're talking with, because it will be easier to convince anybody to support your project or be part of the project when you also see the problem that you see. So you don't just share the information, oh, I want to teach blind children how to type. Everybody would just say, okay, go ahead. But when you say, I want them to have hope, I want them to be able to choose a career, I want them to be able to find leading towards having a better life. This is not the end of life. Not being able to see is not, do you understand? You're already creating a problem in the person's head by putting up a solution. So the person will be you find it very easy to listen to you, find it very easy to want to support you and be part of the project. And that is the best way to get a partnership from whatever organization you are going into, NGOs and all that. You bring out the problem. I did a project recently. I might have to divert so that I can use this as an example. I put up a library in a hospital, in a military barracks. Now, when I was preparing towards making the project, I needed the community to see the importance of a library in a barrack setting. And then my story was, I saw soldiers that were always coming into the hospital with some form of post-traumatic stress disorder from the war, depression from having their mates being killed at the battlefront, and the nature of the job. I created this program and I told them, okay, see, the best way we can help some of these people is to provide books for them so they can read stories, learn some skills, learn things outside the army, and that would make their lives better. That would help reduce the rate of depression and post-traumatic stress disorder from these people. So anybody you meet on the street and you explain this to, the person would be interested to want to listen. So it's very easy to get through to people when you paint the problem to them and also ask for possible solutions. And that would also help you designing a very awesome project. So yes, I think that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Nendi. Do we have other questions, Lauren?
Absolutely. And Nendi, I think the idea of being a great storyteller is so important also. What a cool idea, I love it. Jenny, the next question is for you. Ali Mohammed asked, what kind of projects would not be funded by the YES Grants program?
Good question. So although I can't tell you without seeing a proposal, this would be funded, this would not be funded, we have a few hard no's. First of all, projects that don't meet the goals of the YES program. And you know, the goals of the YES program, this is a pretty broad category. So you would have to really be stretching things to come up with a project that doesn't meet the goals. Essentially, your project should benefit your community in a social, economic, or like civic engagement way. So second is any project that supports a specific political candidate or party. YES Alumni Grant funds cannot support one side of politics or another. That's not to say that your grant project cannot be related. For example, if you want to do a project like a Get Out the Vote project where you encourage people in your local community to go vote, period, not go vote for a specific person, that is perfectly okay. Also, projects are not intended to be gifts or donations. So if your project involves doing a training program for at an orphanage in English, great, that can be funded. If your project, and I put it in quotes because this is not a gift or a donation, is not a project. If your project involves, you know, renovating an orphanage, painting it, buying some new desks and chairs, that cannot be funded. So those are the three biggest things that stick out to me. But that said, you know, we have to see a proposal before I can tell you that something cannot be funded outside of those three categories.
Perfect. Thank you, Jenny. The next question was for Nendi, and it was, could you tell us about how you included people with disabilities in the development of your project and the implementation of your project?
Okay. It's very easy to be able to develop projects that involve people with disability. Now, the reason why I said that is when you begin to pick interest in these people, you would know all the problems they have. Because there is something with disability. Once you communicate with somebody that has a disability, they are more open than people that are normal or don't have a disability. So they would be able to share lots of things with you, and you'll be able to have an aha moment to be able to put up a project. Now, before I designed the My Hands Can See project, I had so many other little community service ideas and activities that I was doing, like visiting the school of the blind in Jos to see the children, have time with them, talk with them, and just sit down and get entertained, because they have a lot of people that sing, they can dance, they can play instruments and all that. So we created time, went to the school, sat with them, discussed with them. And during that time, I learned that part of their training was to be able to learn how to use a typewriter at the end of their school year. So it was easy for me to say, oh, wow, why not introduce this early for them so they can have a feel of it, develop the interest. By the time they are at the final class, they would be better and even perfect in learning how to use a typewriter. And then I also noticed that they didn't have, they relied on the Braille produced by the school. So I wanted to give them the ability to also write their own Braille. So they got some manual Braille machines that were able to help them learn how to write them by themselves, so they can know the words, because learning to write is different from learning to read. So that helped a lot. So people with disabilities, you have to communicate with them, communicate with their immediate caregiver or family. And if you are, maybe it's a school, you have to approach the principal, approach the school authority, and ask them, what are the problems your kids are facing? What do you see that is difficult for these people? You'll be able to pick up good ideas, pick up things that you need to do, and then you put up and have a good summation and build up a very awesome project. So you have to, you cannot do a project for people with disability without communicating with them and having close contact with them.
It's a perfect summary. Thank you so much, Nendi. All right, you summed it up perfectly. So Ratu, the last question that is for you, and it was a really simple question of who did you contact at the U.S. Embassy to ask for help and support with your project? How did you do that initial contact?
All right. Long before the project, I kept a good relationship with the U.S. Embassy, the nearest U.S. Embassy in my city. We actually have a group, WhatsApp group, that have me and some other alumni and the nearest U.S. Embassy. So it's not only for the project, but I kept the relationship for other things, for instance, when the pandemic happened, all the alumni are making summer projects, and we share it with the U.S. Embassy so they could know how we as an alumni impact the society, even, not as a big project like my project or Nendi's project or other alumni grant project, but just like a little gesture or, something that impacts society. We share it with the U.S. Embassy near us. So when we going to make a project, they also gonna show their support and maybe help us in so many ways, such as, like I said before, they help me with the merchandise and moral support, attending my project, and that is the way I kept the good relationship. I try to contact the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta first, in the main city, and they gave me the contact from U.S. Embassy that nears my city. Then we make a group chat, and they don't mind on making a group chat because they like to discuss a lot of things with the alumni because they like how the alumni makes impact for society. So my advice is keep a good relationship with the U.S. Embassy near you because they could help a lot. Really, they could help a lot. I think that's it. That's all from me.
Great. And I'd like to add a note to this question. I think, Ratu, you are certainly in a special circumstance having contact with the embassy. I think most alumni don't. And your way to invite the embassy is through your local YES office. So if you should be aiming to invite the embassy to your events and do so through your local YES office. All right. What else do we have, Lauren?
So the final question, Jenny, was how can you apply?
All right. How can you apply? Okay, so I actually have some final resources to share with you. Sorry for the delay. I hope everyone can see this. So to apply, you apply here at this website. Don't worry, you don't need to take this down. You could screenshot it if you want, but you can also at any time email me here at yesalumni@americancouncils.org. I'm also very excited to share something new that we have created for the alumni community. There's a resource library. It contains guides and best practices for ensuring that your grant proposal is really sound and really solid and the best it can be. Coming this week, we should have some videos uploaded where if you haven't heard enough of my voice yet, you can hear probably a good another hour cumulatively of my voice discussing how to write a strong grant proposal, making a strong budget, and also just giving an overview of the grants program. And also, if you don't already explore the YES website and YES social media, you should be. It's rich with inspiration. You can go on there and you can learn more about Ratu's project. You can learn more about Nendi's 3 projects. If you go to the YES website under stories, use the search bar, search Ratu, R-A-T-U, and you can pull up her story and learn all the details about her project if you didn't get enough today. Same thing with Nendi's projects. So do use the YES website as a resource for inspiration. And again, I will just reiterate that if you have any questions that have not been addressed today, you can please feel free to email yesalumni@americancouncils.org. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for coming today. Ratu and Nendi, I want to thank you again for your excellent advice and telling everyone about your projects.
Thank you.
Thank you too. It's an honor.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.